If you want to know exactly how to pass your A+, Network+, Security+ exams on your own without paying someone else thousands of dollars to guide you through the process, then keep watching. When I say I'm going to save you thousands of dollars, what exactly do I mean? There are a lot of companies out there that take advantage of this newfound hope and simultaneous anxiety that you have when you make the decision to change into the IT sector, potentially heading towards cybersecurity specifically. I know it well. I had these feelings myself. I decided I wanted to change my career into cybersecurity, and I felt this overwhelming amount of hope because there were so many videos and so many people talking about how there's a large demand in this sector and how there are so many examples of people who have changed careers into this sector successfully as well. So I started looking at all of these resources. There were practice exams. There were some free courses over here. There were some more expensive courses over here. There was all these different tips and tricks and ideas on how to pass the exams and what exams to take and in what order to take them. And do you really need this exam to get a job? There's a lot of noise, and companies come in and they claim to give you a one clear solution to this noise, to get rid of all of that confusion and give you the one true answer. And they will do that for a small fee of $6,000 to $8,000. If you pay them $6,000 to $8,000, which is non-refundable generally after a very short cooling off period, they will guide you through these exams and potentially help you get a job as well. This offer sounds very enticing, particularly if you're feeling pretty confused and overwhelmed by all of the options and all of the advice out there. It can be tempting to accept these offers, to hand over that money with the promise of a virtually what seems to be guaranteed career in this sector. I'm going to urge you not to do that. The reason being, you can do this on your own for free so long as you have the right system. So I'm going to take you through a journey looking through just one of these companies that claims to do exactly what I outlined. And we're going to have a look at some reviews for this particular company and see what people's learning experience was like, and if that's actually better than what it would be if you were to do this on your own. We're going to start our journey here with this Reddit post by Alarming Brother 6545. I'm going to block out the name of the company just to avoid any potential lawsuits that could come my way. This is all publicly available information, but I just don't have the time and effort to try to fight that if it does come my way. So just to cover my own butt, I'm covering the company's name. That being said, let's move on. It reads, "Hi everyone, I've been talking to the company. I'm wary of them, which is why I'm posting here. Basically, the course is 6 months where you'll get the 4 certs in CompTIA A+, Network+, Compliance, Security+, and CompTIA Cybersecurity Analyst Plus for the grand total price of 7,800 Australian dollars. The big promise with the company is they place you after successful completion of the certs. Are these guys legitimate? I have to say their selling techniques and methods are quite impressive. The way I see it, everyone is trying to make money off you one way or another, but you can still benefit. Does anyone have any experience with these guys? If they are scammers, what is the best way for me to go about this? I actually looked up the reviews for this company myself, and I'm going to read you through some of these reviews now to give you an idea of why this might be something where the company is selling the dream more than they're really selling the thing that they're meant to be selling. This first review says, "Do not go with this company. I want to make a formal complaint due to inefficiency and lack of responsibility to student welfare, as this course is not for everyone as they describe in their advertisements. I'm now stuck paying for something that I cannot finish." And this highlights one of the crucial things with these companies. There's generally quite a short cooling off period, which is not enough time for you to be able to dictate whether or not you want to stick with the company. And once that passes, you're essentially stuck paying that 7,800, 8,000, sometimes even more amount of money. And there's no way out of it because you signed that contract. And the only way to know whether or not the content in the company is good without doing research like this is to pay that money. And by that point, it's usually too late by the time you find out the truth, right? So this is our first red flag about this particular company. The next one says, "Stay away. Career changes and those looking for a new start beware. This company is a glorified high-ticket sales business preying on the vulnerable and the desperate. The most you will receive from them is a website that hosts other people's study material with their branding slapped on it and tutors that just call you for 2 minutes to tell you what link to click on next. Promised industry connections and placement are lies. They will pressure you to sign up and then basically vanish. They are in breach of Australian consumer law and should/will be reported to the ACCC." So this is another case where it looks like this person was under the impression that they were going to be receiving high quality, individualized resources specifically designed to help them learn and get very specialized information, better than any information that's already out there towards these certificates. But when they paid that money, they actually got pretty generic information, which wasn't anything special, and all of this particular advice that they were meant to be getting really was just a short phone call to make sure they were actually completing the content that was there and wasn't that good. So again, another red flag. These are all over the place. We'll go through another one. This one was posted to a law firm about the same company as a question about whether or not they can get out of their contract. It reads, I've been doing a course through online. The course was for cybersecurity with the company in Sydney. I have done this for a month and decided not to do it as it's taking a lot of time from me. I have young kids and a full-time job. When I started discussing this with them, they advised me that as I have passed that 7-day cancellation period and I have to keep paying even though I don't want to. So again, stuck in that contract. It's taking up a lot of the time, and they themselves may have realized the same thing as the last person, that the resources aren't actually as good as they were advertised as being in relation to helping you get towards that certification. So now we may be left thinking, okay, well, there's a lot of bad reviews. Are these actually true? Well, there's another one, and it says, believe the bad reviews. I am a current student. Trust the bad reviews and add to them mine. The whole structure of this business sets you up for failure and more money spending on top of the initial outlay. You'll spend hours grinding the videos and practice tests in preparation for your exams. The pass rate for the exam is 85%, but here's the catch. The practice exams have nothing to do with the actual exams. They are an entirely different set of vaguely worded, nonsensical, practical, and theoretical questions. So if you're like me, you'll be scoring 90s on the practice tests and head into an exam totally confident on top of the hours spent on videos and note-taking, but the actual exams don't even have any of those questions. It's like a totally different setup. Essentially, the practice tests are superfluous. They prepare you for nothing. And guys, this is something people find with a wide variety of study materials that they purchase. Thankfully, a lot of the time, it's a Udemy course or Udemy questions that cost like $15 or $30. In this case, you're out $8,000 before you realize that the things you have been given that are supposed to help you learn are actually not that good and nothing special when compared to the free content that's already out there. And you're left thinking, man, I spent $8,000 on this for something I could have got for free, which is where I want to go with this video now. How do you actually avoid paying thousands of dollars and do this on your own for like 90% less money, only paying for the exam vouchers themselves? In order to do this on your own without spending all of this money, you're going to want to engage in a learning process that takes place in 3 stages, okay? I'm going to run you through roughly what each of these 3 stages are, and then I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. The first one that you're going to do is intake. This is where you have your notes that you read, and then you have your videos that you're watching. You're intaking information. The second stage you're going to want to do is digest. That's where you complete a learning activity to actually solidify that information in your brain. The next phase is recall. That's where you're completing those practice questions in order to identify your weak areas and just have a go at the actual things you might have a look at on your exam. All right. Now, let's go through each of these one by one and talk about exactly specifically what you need to be doing here. The first one is intake. We're intaking information. Step 1, you need to have notes that you are reading. These notes, ideally, to make it easy for yourself, should be broken down into exam objective. So download the exam objectives. You'll see exam objective 1.1, then 1.2, then 1.3. Your notes should be organized in the same format, ideally. There's plenty out there that do that. There's a couple out there that do that. I have one of them. You can get it in the description, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But just read your notes on that particular exam objective. Once you've read the notes, I then want you to watch your free video series. Now, I do have video series on my YouTube for the A+, 1101, 1102, 1201. Professor Messer, whatever you're up to, he has it for all the A+, all the Network Plus, all the Security Plus, and his videos are really, really good. So that's therefore free for you, covering all that content. The reason I want you to read your notes before you look at the video is because if your first introduction to a lot of this content is watching the videos, there's going to be some language and some terminology that you are not particularly familiar with. And if your first time encountering that is through the video, you might find yourself in a position where he's talking and you're still stuck 10 seconds behind thinking, wait, he said a word. I don't know what that word means. Now I'm confused. Now I can't keep up. Now that he's talking about something else and I can't even, and you get confused, right? So by pre-reading the notes before you watch the video, you're essentially giving your brain a chance to, 1, be primed on the kind of information you might actually be introduced to, and you're giving yourself the opportunity to investigate some of those words you don't know the meaning of already. So that way, by the time you go into the video, you know what all the relevant content means, you know what all the words mean, and you're going to be able to simply sit there and listen to what he's saying, completely understanding everything. Read your notes and then watch the free video series. That is intake. That's all you have to do, okay? You don't need to pay someone thousands of dollars to give you specialized stuff, because most of the time it's not specialized. Most of the time it's actually quite crap, okay? Professor Mess's free YouTube series is more than enough in terms of video, and you just need some notes to read beforehand, okay? That's about it. Next, we move on to digest. Now, when we're thinking of learning, we want to think of it as analogous to someone throwing a ball to us. When we're reading notes and watching a video, it's like someone throws a ball. But if you just stand there and do nothing when someone throws a ball at you, it's going to hit you in the face and you're going to be left there and the ball's going to roll down the drain. And then you're going to have to dive into the drain and go into the sewage and swim after the ball to get it back, or your mom's going to lock you in your room for the rest of your life. You don't want that, right? So we need to actually bring our hands up and catch that ball, or in this case, catch that knowledge. Now, what that looks like is as soon as you finish watching that video, so you've pre-read your notes, you've watched the video, now it's time to actually catch that knowledge and digest it. The way we do that is we complete some basic active recall questions. So that's essentially just one sentence long questions. They're open-ended and they're just getting you to try to think about the topic that you just covered, okay? It's encouraging your brain to try to work and actually take the information you just received moments ago and do something with it that relates to what you'll need to do on the exam. All right, by doing that, you're taking the information from short-term memory, it's only in there for like 15, 20 seconds, and then actually process it to store it properly so you'll be able to use it later. Okay. After you've completed some basic active recall questions, like you can see on the screen here, then I just want you to practice explaining the thing that you just learned about. So if you just did exam objective 1.1, explain everything you just learned about in your own words to someone else in your house. If you don't have anyone in your house, explain it to your cat. If you don't have a cat, explain it to your brick wall. Okay. It's just a matter of trying to explain it in your own words, because it's in that process that your brain is taking all of the information, breaking it down into the important parts in order to explain that, all right? By completing these active recall questions and trying to explain it in your own words, you're really effectively digesting that information. So now, when that person is throwing that ball of knowledge to you, it's not bouncing off. You won't find yourself in a practice exam forgetting it later. You're actually catching it, putting it in your pocket, and you'll be able to reach in and grab it out when you need it. The next stage is recall. So that's when we're doing our practice multiple choice questions and actually having a go at answering some of these questions like we might have on the exam. Now, I want you to do this as soon as you finish doing the digest activities, okay? So you pre-read your notes, you watch the video, you do your active recall questions, you try to explain it to someone, and then you have a go at the multiple choice questions in that order before you move on to the next exam objective. Really important you do it, because it's been shown that if you test yourself shortly after intaking knowledge, your retention of that knowledge is much greater when compared to if you were to watch the whole video series and then test yourself. You're much more likely to perform more poorly and forget that information when you most need it. And then, guys, that's pretty much it. What you're going to do is repeat this process for every exam objective. Once you finish, come back, identify your weak areas for these multiple choice questions, and then fill in those gaps as you go with the notes that you have, with the free video series that you're watching, and then just repeat that process until you're feeling confident. Now, in my other videos, I do tell you exactly how to answer multiple choice questions. I'm not going to do that here because I think I've already talked enough. So you can go ahead, look at my channel, look at my other videos if you want to see more information on how to learn effectively for your A+, Network Plus, Security Plus. But for now, guys, that is it. Hopefully now I've saved you a few $1,000s that you can spend on a nice date with your significant other, or go buy a video game with, or something instead, so you're not wasting it, and now you feel more confident on how to tackle this exam on your own without wasting your money. Hopefully I've done that. That was my goal. If you found this video useful, please subscribe, have a look through my other videos, see if there's anything there of use to you. And I do have to finish this video with saying that I do have my A+ learning guide for the 1101, 1102, and 1201 linked in the description and in the pinned comment below. That basically gives you everything I've been talking about in this video. You get notes, active recall questions, multiple choice questions, performance-based questions for your exam objectives, practice exams, lots of videos on exactly how to learn specific strategies to implement everything you need to confidently study for this exam at a low price of 55 Australian dollars. So it's much better than $8,000 that you'd otherwise be spending, right? So if you want that, it's there. Otherwise, I've got free practice quizzes broken down by exam objective. I've got free performance-based questions. I've got a whole bunch of stuff on my YouTube channel completely free. You can check it out. All right, I'll leave you with that. Don't pay anyone thousands of dollars, okay? There's no need to do it. All right, guys, I'll see you later, and you're going to pass your exam. I believe in you.